Hello, Lee. Lovely to see you.
Hi, good afternoon.
How you doing?
Good. Hope you're
Very
fine
nice.
too.
Very nice to see you.
Yeah, great.
We're starting up. We're setting up. Lee, lovely to see you.
Hi, good afternoon.
How you Switch off doing? Switch off
Good.
your microphone.
Hope you're
Very
fine
nice.
too.
Very nice to see you.
Yeah, great.
So you're all in Bournemouth just now, or it's from different parts of the world?
There are physically people in Bournemouth. There's our students are coming in, and we've got people in Bournemouth, and we've got people all over the world. I can see Marilia in Portugal. I can see Nagares in India. I can see a lot of people in different places of the world.
Ah, okay. Great.
And I can see Vanessa in Mauritius, Lee in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, Blessing is in London. Desmond is where? Hi, Desmond. Where are you now?
In Germany. My classes, my students are here with me as well.
Your students are very welcome. You're in Germany. Fantastic.
Great.
So this is the world of tourism and the world of global tourism, right? World Tourism Day event celebration at Bournemouth University. Adam, would you like to say some blessings? Yes. And not yet, but are you ready? I'm just giving you a 1 minute warning, and Tim the same. Tim, you're ready? We will be, I think we are, but I don't know where we're recording now. We are live on YouTube. We are on camera, on everything. World Tourism Day celebration at Bournemouth University. Here we go. And then we're going live.
They cannot see this one with that one. They cannot see the Zoom. I connected with the online audience cannot see it. Even audio, the audio cannot see the online. They can see now. No, they can.
What can they see? They can see me.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
For them to see.
I think they should see me for the time being.
Yeah.
And I think later on we'll be able to do that in a different way. And I think, hold on, what do we see? Let me see on the. Now I can see what you're saying. You're saying me, you see Vanessa, and you see Lee, right? Okay, that's great. So let's get just pin on this on me, and you can let Vanessa and Lee off the screen there. No, or I'm controlling. Am I controlling?
I cannot.
Yeah, I'm controlling from here. So sorry guys, we're getting a little bit confused on what you see and what you don't see, and we're getting a little bit okay. And the view is speaker. Okay. Okay. if we have, let me put the.
You couldn't record it, it's not. No, it's not. No, you don't want to record audio. That's it. Even click on the record if you want to.
I think we're getting ready to start, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You see, I've got everything. A well-traveled person. There. Okay. We're about to start. So, Adam, Tim, can you come on this side? Because that will be, you'll be on this camera. And that, come close to me, okay. Just come close to me. So we can open it like that. Okay. We are getting there. Perfect. Oh, you disappeared. Let me get.
Yeah.
Let me not blare my, okay, let me blare my background. Oh, how do I, where is the non-background?
Adam's just
No.
disappeared. This is not personal.
Choose virtual background. How do I set off the background?
It looks like we have to be within about 6 inches of your camera.
I think you should come close to me,
Yeah.
right? Hey, Adam, come closer. That is funny. How do we get off the,
Background. Maybe we do one at a time.
Select background,
huh?
select the virtual background and okay, yeah.
Video settings?
None, yeah.
Background and effects.
None.
None. Perfect. Excellent. How many professors of technology do you need to switch off the background on Zoom? Okay, we're getting there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Tourism Day, 27th of September. We celebrate every year the World Tourism Day. This has been a little bit of a miracle to organize because we started organizing it when Tim sent an email. I was in India at the time and he said, what are we doing for the World Tourism Day? And Duncan, who was here a minute ago and who is hiding there, he said, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do something. So that's how we started organizing the World Tourism Day probably about 10 days ago. I sent a few invitations to some nice colleagues that you'll hear in a minute and you'll see in a minute. And then we've been organizing that with Tim and Siva in the controls, collecting all the videos from different colleagues and different friends around the world to celebrate the World Tourism Day at Bournemouth University. So welcome, and I'll ask Adam and Tim to say a few welcome words. Adam is the director of the International Center for Tourism and Hospitality Research. Here you go.
Okay, yeah, welcome to Bournemouth University's online a celebration of the World Tourism Day. The World Tourism Day is a United Nations World Tourism Organization special celebration of tourism around the world. And hello to everybody we've got around the world online to join us, and hope it all goes well. Tim.
Super. I'm Dr. Tim Gale. I'm Principal Lecturer in Tourism Management here at the BU, and it's my great pleasure to welcome everyone, but particularly students, undergrad and postgrad taught from BU and from around the world to this event to mark World Tourism Day. We're very lucky in that we have a great network of professors and thought leaders, and you're going to hear from the best today. Look into the future and look into tourism's contribution to green growth.
Thank you very much, guys. The most important person sitting next to me, this is Dr. Siva, because he has got all the controls, he has got all the videos and everything of the content. She is controlling. So what I would like to say.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and welcome for today's celebrations, like tourism celebrations. We are here in an important day to celebrate together the Tourism Day that comes all together from different cultures to celebrate this important day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Now, we are going to do two things. One is that we will hear from some great people from around the world. Obviously, all of the people today are quite busy because there are a lot of things happening. So the first person we had on the program was Sandra Carvalho, who is the director of research in the World Tourism Organization. But she said, can I go somewhere else and come back, please? She'll come back at 4:30. Okay, so we'll start with Liu Qizhun, who is the Secretary General of the World Tourism Alliance. The World Tourism Alliance is based in China, in Hangzhou, and Liu is doing a very good job to organize first the tourism industry in China, but then globally, many different people. So their president is the president of the Club Mediterranee, Mr. Giscard d'Estaing. And Liu has sent us a very nice message to talk about the World Tourism Day, and we've asked everybody to celebrate tourism and what's happening in their communities. So you've been hearing a lot of negative things in the last few weeks, about few months, about tourism, too many people, too much trouble, but we keep forgetting how wonderful tourism is. So we've asked about, I don't know, we've got about 10, 12 people to tell you from different parts of the world how tourism is doing a good job. And then what we'll do is first we'll hear from the associations, then we'll stop, then we'll have some questions, some discussion, then we'll hear from some of the other guys who are in the tourism trade, and then we'll talk to some academics later on. So we'll try to break it in 3 parts, so you can be part of it, you can ask questions, think about questions, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's go.
On the occasion of the UNWTO World Tourism Day 2023. As what the Secretary General of the UNWTO, Mr. Ralph Ulrikashvili, once said, by investing in people and projects that make a difference, we can deliver on the sector's potential to drive growth and opportunity for all. Being an important part of the world economy, the tourism is vital in making progress in the realization of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. At the economic level, tourism is first and foremost a highly integrated and interconnected industry with economy-wide impact. It is considered a major drive for promoting a circular economy and a tool for economic adjustment to narrow the gap of income. As a labor-intensive industry, tourism creates abundant jobs, especially for the young who are less experienced. Tourism also generates substantial social values. It promotes people-to-people exchanges and enhances mutual understanding and trust. It drives the construction of infrastructure and improves the living standards and sense of happiness in the destination communities. Today, as we are more aware of the importance to travel responsibly, tourism activities can be more contributive to the human society as a whole. To leverage the socio-economic attributes of tourism, especially in places that are least development, it is vital to empower the local communities, ensure their participation, and allow them to take a fair share of the fruits of tourism development. WTA is a comprehensive, non-governmental, non-profit international tourism organization which was established in 2017. Over the past 6 years, one of the cool things that we've done was to collect and publish best practices of tourism-enabled poverty reduction and rural revitalization. To date, with a collection of 200 cases around the world. Through the studying on these cases, we have developed better understandings on the value of tourism in driving the growth of rural economy and promoting social equity. At the national level, tourism is important for driving growth and promoting rural poverty reduction in many economies, especially those among the least developed. And at the national level, tourism is important for driving growth and promoting rural poverty reduction in many economies, especially those among the least developed. And at the cultural level, tourism contributes to the preservation and innovative development of traditional cultures by revealing the value of traditional culture in a new light, thus creating better conditions for their inheritances. And at an ecological level, the touch phrase lucid waters in the green mountains, unlike mountains, gold and silver, best illustrates the interdependence between tourism and the eco-environment. Tourism development provides funding for the environmental protection and demonstrates the value of a sound eco-environment to the destination communities. To get the best in the promoting poverty reduction and rural development through tourism, we must make sustainability a key indicator and yardstick. I'd like to elaborate on our findings and share with you some of the prototypes distilled from the cases that we solicited when opportunities arise. In the meantime, we at the WTA are ready to join hands with all of you, my friend, to do our job in making great contribution to the sustainable socio-economic development of the world. I wish all of us a meaningful, enjoyable, and rewarding World Tourism Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. So this is coming all the way from China, and Yu Xizun, who is the Secretary General of the World Tourism Alliance. The next person I've got here is a very special person. Her name is Blessing Bellu, and she's a very special person because she was sitting exactly where you're sitting last year. So Blessing was one of our students, and now she's working for the African Tourism Association in London. Do we have a video? Or do we have a Blessing in live?
No, video.
Okay, let's go with that. So Blessing is from Nigeria originally.
Tourism Association, ATA, as a membership, events, and marketing executive. Today, on World Tourism Day, join me in celebrating the remarkable impact that tourism has had on the continent of Africa. It's a story of transformation, of communities thriving, of cultures flourishing, and of nature's wonders being protected for generations to come. Over the years, tourism in Africa has evolved to be a powerful force for positive change. It has created countless job opportunities, especially in rural areas where economic prospects were often limited. Entrepreneurship has bloomed alongside tourism, with individuals starting small businesses that offer unique experiences, from boutique hotels to restaurants serving the flavor of local cuisines, and craft shops proudly displaying the artistic talents of their communities, all thanks to the influx of visitors seeking authentic encounters. We have also seen infrastructural developments being prioritized to accommodate the growing numbers of tourists. Improved roads, modern airports, and efficient transportation networks have linked communities and opened doors to opportunity. Yet, the impact of tourism extends far beyond economics. It has become a cornerstone of conservation. The revenue generated from wildlife tourism has fueled conservation efforts. Africa's iconic wildlife has benefited from the funds directed towards anti-poaching initiatives and habitat preservation. More so, tourism has educated and inspired. Travelers leave Africa with a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by many communities. This awareness has translated into philanthropic efforts, leading to investments in education, healthcare, and various projects, all contributing to the well-being of the African. As we look ahead to the next decade, I would implore us to amplify these benefits even further by enforcing the need for sustainability and encouraging responsible tourism that respects the environment and local cultures. Collaboration with stakeholders will lead to the implementation of eco-friendly initiatives, ensuring that Africa's natural beauty endures. Beyond this, let us encourage meaningful engagements between tourists and local communities. It is through these interactions that understanding is deepened, friendships are formed, and bridges are built. Finally, as we celebrate today, let us commit to a future where tourism continues to be a force for positive change. Together, let us nurture and expand these benefits in ensuring that Africa's incredible journey of transformation continues to inspire and uplift us all. Thank you, and happy World Tourism Day.
Thank you very much to Blessings. It's absolutely fantastic. And I think she's online as well. I'm so proud of Blessings. So this is the first bit where we are looking into the association. So we had the World Tourism Alliance and we have the African Tourism Association. As I said, you're going to hear from Sandra Carvalho later on from the World Tourism Organization in a minute. Is there any questions? Anybody? Any questions so far? Can I hear the different countries we've got here? We've got Indonesia that I know. We have Taiwan that I know. I came back from Taiwan last night. We've got Korea, Japan, Vietnam, UK, Korea, India, Nigeria. You need to be very proud of Blessing. I'll talk about India tomorrow a lot. UK? Saudi Arabia, wonderful. I'll talk about tomorrow. Philippines, wonderful. Saudi Arabia, wonderful. Who else? Where are you from? You just come on the right time. I was asking everybody. Saudi Arabia, wonderful. So you see so many different countries. He's from Wales. You've seen so many different countries, and you see how the world is benefiting from tourism and how wonderful things tourism can do in different kind of places, even in Wales. In Wales in particular, actually, there are a lot of issues about Wales that we need to be talking about, and Wales has been developing rapidly. So unless you've got anything very important to ask at this stage, I'll ask my good friend Lee Chon Long from Malaysia, all the way from Kuala Lumpur. Who said Malaysia? Someone said Malaysia here, yeah? Someone told me Malaysia early on. No? Okay. So Lee's in Kuala Lumpur. It's quite late in the evening. Hello, Lee. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Are you ready to share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, I think I'm going to just share some of my views here from South Asia for these 5 minutes.
Hold on.
So, good afternoon, everyone.
Let me do something else because I think that was better. Are you ready, Lee?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we record from this. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay.
Right.
Let's get Lee on the screen so I disappear. And Lee, you start talking, and then let's go and pin Lee up there.
All right. Okay, shall I start then?
Yeah, thank you. You're on.
Right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. And I take this opportunity to wish everyone happy World Tourism Day. We are all excited that we are on the road to recovery from the pandemic years, and I'm pleased to share some good news from Southeast Asia. And I'll start with my country, Malaysia. Malaysia's tourist arrivals have steadily recovered, and like all Southeast Asian countries, we're hoping for Chinese travelers to return in full force. However, based on a recent survey from China, only 4% of the survey respondents have actually taken advantage of China's reopened borders in 2023 to make a trip outside mainland China, with a further 9% having booked outbound travel for later in 2023. But attitudes towards outbound travel are positive, with 34% hoping to travel outside mainland China in 2023, 33% undecided, and only 20% have ruled out the idea. So we are hoping for the best for 2023 and 2024. Now, Malaysia now also intends to stage Visit Malaysia Year in 2025 with a target of 23.5 million international arrivals and projected income of 76.8 billion ringgit, that is equivalent to 16.3 billion US dollars. I'm pleased to inform that the Sabah State of Malaysia, located in Borneo Island, has received the UNESCO Triple Crown title for Kinabalu National Park. The UNESCO Triple Crown has only been awarded to 3 places in the world, the others being Jeju Island in Korea and Sinojia in China. The Triple Crowns represent the 3 awards: UNESCO World Heritage Site, the UNESCO Man and Biosphere, and the UNESCO Global Geopark, all awarded to Kinabalu National Park, which is a testament of the excellence in natural and biodiversity resources in Sabah. Currently, Sabah's top source markets are Koreans, but we hope to welcome more European tourists to explore and experience Sabah Borneo. Next is Laos. In 2024, Laos is planning to launch the Visit Laos Year tourism promotion campaign to attract both foreign and domestic tourists. The aim is to welcome at least 4.6 million tourist arrivals to the country. The campaign will showcase cultural activities, traditional festivals, and various events throughout the year, both in central areas and local provinces. It seeks to highlight the unique attractions and natural beauty that Laos has to offer. Now, in Cambodia, it's targeting 4.5 million international arrivals in 2023. That's about double the arrivals in 2022, which stood at 2.28 million. Now, with heavy investments in airports and road networks throughout the country, Cambodia is targeting 5 million in 2024 and 7 million in 2025. Cambodia aims to lure visitors away from the famous temples of Angkor Wat to experience more nature tourism, ecotourism, adventure tourism, and community-based tourism. Over in Vietnam, it is becoming and emerging as Southeast Asia's new tourism hotspot. Vietnam has received over 5.5 million visitors in the first 6 months of 2023 and exceeding the total arrivals for 2022. That's quite impressive. The government has set a target of 8 million visitors to 10 million visitors for the second half of 2023. Visa policy facilitation from 15 to 45 days for selected nationalities and access to electronic visa valid up to 90 days for selected nationalities have definitely given a boost to tourist arrivals for Vietnam. Thailand is the most tourism resilient country in Southeast Asia, rebounding strongly after the pandemic years. Thailand is expected to reach 20 million visitors by end of 2023. Malaysia is their top inbound source market, and for outbound Chinese as well. Thailand is the preferred destination among Southeast Asian countries. However, there has been some negative publicity in the social media that has impacted the confidence of Chinese travelers recently, but this is expected to be temporary, as Thailand has always been able to handle such setbacks very well. Now, Thailand will still remain the top destination regardless. Thailand hopes to return to the glorious years when 39 million international arrivals were recorded in 2019. Over in Philippines, the government has reported robust tourist recovery, having achieved 3 million international tourist arrivals in July this year. The target for 2023 is 4.8 million arrivals, which is a huge jump from 2.65 million arrivals in 2022. The top source markets for Philippines are South Koreans at 25% and United States at 18%. Tourism industry stakeholders are optimistic that the country will exceed the target by the end of the year. That's all from Southeast Asia. And once again, I thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Lee. What a wonderful overview of Asia and where we are now. And it's always fantastic to see you, and so much good value to all our speakers and to all our audience here. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. We will move now to a video presentation and a video capture from a very good lady whose name is Effie Kalaboukidou. If you can say that, you can graduate easily. Effie Kalaboukidou. Effie is the president of the European Federation of Tourist Guides. She's a Greek lady, and she wanted to be live with us, but she sent me a message today and say this morning and said, look, I've got to have a tour of people that they're coming from, I think they're coming from Vietnam. They're in Greece currently, and she's doing a Christianity tour with them. So they are following, it's a religious tourism group. Normally she does archaeology, but today she's doing a religious group. And Effie is a good friend, and she's a fantastic guide. And I asked her, why don't you bring some customers in that and do a little video and send us the video live from wherever you are? And this is what she has got to say. I haven't seen the video yet, but listen to what she has got to say.
Effie Kalaboukidou. I'm a certified tourist guide for Greece, and I'm also the president of the executive committee of the European Federation of Tourist Guide Associations. Today, we celebrate the World Tourism Day, which is a festive day for all of us in tourism and in culture. I have a special group. I'm on the road right now for some days with a special religious group. And at this moment, we are visiting the ancient site of Philippi and the baptistry of St. Lydia, where St. Paul baptized the first Christians in Greece and in Europe. So this is a very popular tour for Greece in the steps of St. Paul. Many people follow it, many Christian churches and pilgrims from all over the world. And it's something that unites cultures, religions, languages, and people together for many decades now. So I have a special group, which are Christians. They come from Vietnam originally, but they live in the United States, and they're traveling with their priest, Dr. Father Paul Cao. You're going to see him in a while. Now I'll show you some of the surrounding and the chapel of St. Lydia. It's a nice, peaceful site by the water stream, and it has beautiful decoration with paintings and mosaics.
All right. Hello everyone. I'm a leader. I'm Father Paul Cao. I'm the leader of the group. We have 30 people for the tour, the Heritage International Tour. I'm very happy. We have very good experience. We have the baptistry of St. Lydia. I'm leading the group, and we have really had a good experience. All the tour guides, athletes, everyone, they are great. They're doing a good job, and thank you very much. So may God bless you all. Thank you.
Inside St. Lydia's and Paul's Chapel, we have this beautiful mosaic floor with the mission of St. Paul into Asia Minor and Greece. That was in the year 49 to 52 AD. All decorated with the local marble. And in the middle, we have the baptistry font for the babies. That is a very popular place for the Greeks to baptize. Beautiful decoration, paintings, mosaics, and the baptism of Christ in River Jordan is in the dome. The altar is also decorated with mosaics. Saint Lydia, the local saint, the first Christian of Europe. Greetings from Greece. Best wishes for the World Tourism Day. On behalf of the European Federation of Tourist Guide Associations.
Thank you very much to Effie.
My name is Effie Kalabukidu.
Okay.
I'm a certified tourist guide for Greece, and I'm also the president.
What I really love what we do here is, number one, is that we are truly global. And this is amazing, right? So the Vietnamese tourists who live in the US, they go to Greece and to follow the St. Paul's steps and the route that St. Paul gave. And I asked Effie this morning, yesterday, and said, she really wanted to come live, but said, look, I cannot come because I've got this group that I've got covered. And I said, show us what you do. And tourism is so different in so many different places. Now we're going to go from Greece to China, and we'll meet another very special lady called Sandy Yan Lee, who was sitting there, how many years ago? 4 or 5? She just arrived in September 2019, and then 2020, we had COVID. So she spent a lot of time here in lockdown because everybody was on lockdown, and that was an unfortunate year for some of these students because they couldn't really do, so they were here, but we are all working on Zoom but Jan is unbelievable. She's doing a whole range of things in China right now, and she'll explain to you what she's doing and how this is benefiting her communities.
First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Dean Harris for inviting me to join this event to celebrate the World Tourism Day. As graduate of Vermont University in tourism management major, it's really my great honor to join this celebration. As a person working in the tourism industry for 20 years, I'd like to share what I see as the benefits and wonderful things that tourism does to my region and my country. We all know tourism industry can contribute to almost every part of our socioeconomics, offering job opportunities and strengthening local economics. But today, I'd like to share the wonderful benefits of tourism in culture succession, almost a lost culture legacies. In the first place, tourism gives new life to certain traditional culture that were almost abandoned or forgotten in China. For example, the traditional Miao village culture in Guizhou province of China. Consumption of science and technology and infrastructure makes the city more and more modern, but also makes the young people in the city far away from the nature and traditional culture. Due to the promotion and development of tourism, the minority culture hidden in remote mountainous area can be discovered and cherished by the young from outside the world. Tourists began to attract to these remote minority areas. They began to understand and even keen on the importance to the local culture, which supplies the local people. And the benefits from the local culture and tourism attract a lot of young people coming back their hometown from the big cities. The young Miao people, they start to cherish their own traditional culture. They're going back their hometown and inherit their own national culture so that the minority group culture can continue and heritage one generation to one generation. Secondly, travel makes people more tolerant and understanding the different cultures. This is nothing related to the economic interests, but all about understandings and respects. When people travel more, experience more culture and life variety background, people will act more tolerant to different culture and more courtesy to different culture. This is conducive to promoting culture integration and social stability. For example, Islam is practiced almost universally in the autonomous region of Ningxia County in China's Gansu province, which was once an important source in ancient Silk Road. Since the Tang Dynasty's businessmen has gathered here, where the Eastern and Western culture meet today, there are also ancient Islamic temples that preserved the architecture's form of the combination of East and West. 20 or 30 years ago, Han Chinese people were not allowed to visit these temples. Now these temples are not only free to the public, allowing parts of the temple to be visited, but also welcome strangers to learn about the Muslim culture. As tourists come to visit to learn more about the Muslim culture, sometimes the West festivals, the religious rules, etc., and then better understand and respect the Muslim culture. Finally, due to the development of tourism industry, the level of tourism civilization of Chinese tourists is also constantly improving. For example, the statutory holidays and the leave system of enterprise employees are legalized, and the civilized behavior of Chinese tourists has improved, such as reducing the loud noise in the public places, paying attention to the booking and queuing. Tourism was closed or shut down by the pandemic during the past 3 years in China. We waited, and now it has restarted. The tourism is recovering fast, even than our expected. Although China's tourism industry has stagnated in the past 3 years because of the pandemic, in the post-pandemic era, China's tourism has shown a different development reversal compared with before the pandemic. Chinese tourists paid more attention to tourism culture experience. For example, before 2020, China's tourism, the group travel, the tour package travel, many tour products are fleeting. Since the opening of China tourism market this year, more and more people like to travel independently, and at the same time, group travel products pay more attention to the historical value of the products, pay more attention to the real experience of the destinations, and more interest in the local life cultural background. The perspective of market's deep demand for the cultural connotation of the tour products. The development of the tourism industry is allowing more traditional Chinese culture to recover and the tour products to return to important social attributes of cultural value transmission. So, for my experience in tourism in China, I think it's the best wonderful thing that tourism in my country, in my region, is about the cultural inheritance and civilization improving. Thank you.
Fantastic. This is let me go close because that will be on the camera. I'm also very, very proud of Sandy because she's done a fantastic job while she was here, and now she's back in China supporting her communities, engaging with many different people. And you can see that no matter where you are around the world, there are some resources locally, and then you you get people to engage with the local communities and create benefits. The last person we're going to bring in this in this section is Philippos Venetopoulos. Philippos is someone I met recently because he's the brother of one of my ex-students. And Philippos is managing his family company. It's called Variety Cruises. And Variety Cruises operates in 7 or 8 countries, small cruise ships. And they are taking people around the world in explaining different places and much more cultural tours rather than the very big cruise ships that you find around the world. And I hope he's gonna, I haven't seen the video. I hope that he's playing he showed some of the cruises that he's doing. Okay, and I was very lucky to be invited in one of his boats this summer, and I'll show you which one it was. And before you start, I really love what they do. A better world at sea. This is their vision, and this is their motto. And when you go on the cruise ship, they give you one of these bottles so you can keep your water and you do not use plastic stuff, so you can be more sustainable. So let's hear from Philippos, and then we'll stop for a minute. We'll take some questions, and then we'll go to the rest of the party.
My name is Philippos Venetopoulos, and I'm the CEO of Variety Cruises, a family business that's operating since 1949, with Greece being our home country and operating in 16 countries across the globe. I sincerely regret that I'm unable to attend in person today, but I truly hope you're enjoying your session there and learning some cool stuff about the travel industry, the future, people, and the communities we visit. Nevertheless, I'm delighted to be in spirit with you and come together to share a short video of our evolution as a travel business in the small cruise and adventure space. So enjoy.
73 years ago, our founder's vision was to create a better world at sea. In 1949, the first land tours began. In 1968, he takes this concept to sea. In 1990, the first solar stratified vessels are launched, taking our fleet to international waters. In 2022, we have arrived. Go deeper. As you arrive, prepare to let go and feel true freedom as you rediscover the world, as you connect and embrace each other, fulfilling your every desire, letting yourself laugh and enjoy the moment while you observe your surroundings and get a taste of the world as you see or as you relax. Take time to share and to give. As you support one another with fun, as we can imagine a better world at sea, while we sustain our resources, maybe they're trapped in a tree, or sometimes with a simple touch, or even with a kiss. Never forget to appreciate and to recognize what you have. Ready to immerse yourself. Go deeper.
So that's
Wow, what a video. Every time I watch it, I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps because it really reminds me of the amazing things that we do, our history, the evolution, and the future. So, I'd like to share a little bit about Variety Cruises and the 70 adventures we offer across the globe, where we actually started our signature 70 adventures here in Greece, and then replicated that all the way to other communities and other places we visit across the globe. Variety Cruises is a business that is doing a lot of good things, I would say, and hope, in the space of communities, people we visit, customers, and sharing our experiences and showing the world and going deeper into the destinations. But really, it's about the added benefit of being on a small boat. One of the things that was really talked about in the travel industry before COVID was over-tourism. And, when you're in a small boat with another 30 or 40 customers and cruising, even in Venice or, in Dubrovnik, the most highly visited touristic places in the world, you're not really invading that that community visit, because you really get into those small private marinas, and you really get to offer the customers one of the experiences that we offer, which is the outdoor experience, where our customers get to go and enjoy a meal outside, even if it's lunch or dinner, they'll go and spend their dollars, euros, whatever that is, in the community. Because really, travel is about the places that you visit, the people that you get to affect with your travels. The other thing, I'd like to touch upon the right cruises that are unexplored itineraries, an example, where we go into places like Icaya and Levitia, which are small islands, which really even Greeks don't know and haven't really had the opportunity to travel. We do that as well in West Africa, Gambia, Senegal. We do it in little islands in the sandbox in Costa Rica and Panama. So it's really about places that are obscure in a sense, but less visited and less touched upon in mass tourism. One of the other things that I think is very important to mention, and I only have 3 minutes to in the video that you saw earlier, is Variety Cares and the foundation and the 3 core pillars that we're focusing on. They come really deep into our heart. Something started from my grandfather and my father, and others have been adapted into the new evolution of Variety, which is who we are today. Education for all, where we've actually built a fingerprint school in West Africa. I can really talk many hours, if not minutes, for the school, but we are now building a small museum there in partnership with the Explorers Club. It's called the Rose Museum in honor of our father, their Daphnis, which means rose, where we'll have artifacts from a spaceship from NASA. We'll have a small piece of outer space. We'll have a flag that's been on the moon. And we really built a school there that has also an agriculture with a drinking water well and whatnot. So have a look on our website. It's really cool stuff, and I'm really proud for what my father and our team is still continuing to do there. It's education, it's diversity and inclusion for all. We're partnered with the Trevor Project, one of the largest non-profit organizations supporting youth that has been challenged at home or in their own places to really improve themselves in the communities that we live in. And then it's also around clean oceans for all. The water is our ocean, and it's 72% of our world. And what are we doing as a business to really ensure that we preserve the wildlife, the underwater wildlife, and also, carbon emissions, how do we reduce them? We've got a plan with Sustainable Tourism International, measuring our carbon emissions and also ensuring that we reduce them. So there's really a lot of things that I could be talking to you about. Short time here, but I'd like to touch a little bit before I go on the challenges. The challenges that we have in the communities we visit. Like some of them, they're not open to LGBT communities. How do we educate them to understand and include those places, those customers in their communities? Other challenges, change. Change is one of the biggest and hardest things we're trying to do here. We're a 3rd generation family business, and we're really trying personally with our team to bring that evolution and that change. And one of the things I read the other day is if you change nothing, nothing will change. So you want to do to change your habits, to change the way you have learned. I know teachers at work that said, I'll learn and time to change. You get a team to do stuff and open their train of thoughts. So I'll leave you with this. What do you need to change to create a better world at sea? What do you need to create a better world? What do you need to change in order to be a positive, or at best, or actually not at best, a neutral thing? Thank you very much. And if there's anything you'd like to chat, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to share more and hear from you. Enjoy World Tourism Day, and thank you, Mr. Bukhari, for this opportunity. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much to Philippos. I think you see what the sustainable company is doing, what the responsible company is doing around the world, started from Greece, but now operating in many different places. In the world of cruising, which is blamed quite often for a whole range of different things, but they're doing a fantastic job in bringing different people together. So before we go to our next 4 or 5 speakers, I'd like to invite Tim and Adam to come forward and have a conversation with you on some of the things that you heard and explore what can we do, what do you learn, how can we get better in what we do, and how can we do a better impact to the world based on what we do. So then I'm gonna turn the cameraman. In the meanwhile, I'd like to just try to get Tim and Adam into the picture for those people who are listening to us and they're looking at YouTube.
Stay still, Demetrius, don't move. I'm reminded, of course, that World Tourism Day is a celebration of tourism and the good that tourism does in the world. I've been a tourism academic in UK higher education for the best part of 30 years now. I know that's hard to believe when I look so young and so dynamic, but that is the case. And I can remember a time when it was the fashion to criticize tourism, something I've been guilty of myself. We encourage our students to be critical thinkers, but occasionally we lapse into the criticism, usually of the dominant capitalist mode of production in tourism, forgetting now and again the good that tourism does, the potential to emancipate people and to transform lives. And we've heard from our speakers from around the world today, and some beautiful examples, and a bit of virtual tourism there as well in Greece there, which was a lovely touch, Demetrius. And I'm really energized by this, as I hope you are in the room. And my invitation to our colleagues who are here today, and also for those joining us online and who have access to the chat, is really to share your stories, your examples of where tourism has done good and has the power to do good, because I think we need to be reminded of this and hear more of this. And I'm certainly, the one thing I'm going to take away as an educator as well as a tourism researcher is to celebrate our industry for what it is, what it can be, and the huge potential that it waits to be unlocked as we move into the future tourism. Adam.
Yeah, and maybe to put a bit of context on that, during the pandemic, there was a lot of talk about how the recovery from the pandemic gave us all a chance, the global tourism industry, really, to build back better. And that was a big key phrase over the last 3 years. And some of us are a bit skeptical about that. Would it happen? Would businesses build back better? But build back better, I mean, to go beyond the traditional model of tourism and do something more sustainable for the environment, in social senses, and also in terms of climate change. And so, are we seeing that from our guests around the world? We've had some talk about how tourism is recovering in different parts of the world. Is it recovering in a more sustainable, or we might say better way of growing the tourism market around the world, or are we seeing a more of a struggle for numbers and growth and income without any real thought for building back better?
And of course, to some, building back better means degrowth, less tourism potentially, and this is a source of much debate and no little controversy, really, which
I don't like the growth. I really don't like the growth.
He hates the growth.
I hate the growth. It's not about the growth. It's about getting the limits, understanding current capacities, understanding how we organize places in time and in space, and manage the tourism industry to operate within sustainable kind of formulas where it benefits the local communities. It's not. Quite often I'm told, can you reduce the tourists from 200,000 to 150? And I said, that is not the point. The point is, when are these 200,000 people are coming? If they're coming on a cruise ship, are they coming on the big cruise ships and 8,000 people are going to the shore? Or is it coming from Philippus boats that are very small, there are 60 people going? And where they go, the people that they're following Effie today on this tour, they haven't seen any other tourists, I can tell you that. They've never seen any other tourists today. So there are 30 people from Vietnam living in the US, traveling in the north of Greece. You don't count them because there's no issue there. So it's really, really critical to understand where the issues are and how we need to develop them. And that's a great opportunity to promote the 2 new books on tourism trends that have just come out. I just saw them today. Zoom in, perfect. Done with my good friend Alistair Morrison in China and with expertise from many different people here. So, you're about to take a bit. That's good. Okay, now we took a little break here from our sequence of speakers, so we can give you the opportunity to ask questions or to express opinion, to look into what's happening in your situation. So who would like to go first? Who would like to ask a question? If nobody asks, I'll ask Fakhri because he's my new PhD student and that is his first public engagement. So, Duncan.
I just thought I'd return to what you said about peak growth.
Yeah.
Because I'm not convinced by it either. But given that the global tourism industry has made really quite limited progress towards achieving sustainable tourism over 30 years of talking about it, maybe degrowth is a more convincing alternative.
I'll disagree.
I know you are. Go on.
No, the thing is, the growth means that find a number and reduce it. But you know, when you go in different communities in Bali, I just came back from Taiwan last night and went to an ecotourism little place, which the name is going to come to me, close in Nantu, which came up because 25 years ago they had a huge earthquake and everything was destroyed. So they're doing a new local community activities to actually bring people in to sell their local products, their vegetables, things like that. And then they've got the Moon and Sun and Moon Lake. Please help here. Sun and Moon Lake just around the corner. That's attracting a lot of people. And then there are a lot of boats, so they go on date tours and things like that. So it's really about you cannot really go around and have umbrella policies that they're touching everybody. You really need to understand what is the issues, where is the sustainability issues, what's the problem in each community, and how you can support that community. So if I say stop tourism in Wales, because there are problems in Wales, we know that, or in Cornwall, or wherever, what's going to happen? The local community is going to suffer. And guess what? Most of the people who are talking about the growth and they're talking about these things are public servants, so people who have got a normal salary from a university, and then they patronize everybody else. And this is a global phenomenon. They patronize everybody else. Say, please reduce tourism in Bali, right? Okay. Before you do that, you really need to understand what's happening in Bali, where it's happening in Bali, and what are the real issues. Having said that, because we've got colleagues from Saudi, you know, trying to go to 100 million tourists by 2030 is a little bit, let's call it not optimistic, okay? So Saudi currently has got about, before COVID, had about 30 million tourists, a lot of with going on Hajj and but now the strategy is to go to 100,000 by 2030. These are issues that we need to look at, you know, in much more detail. But again, the issue is the infrastructure there? I just came back from India as well. Is the infrastructure there? If you go to Ajanta Caves, how many people can go to Ajanta Caves per day? What time should they go? There are a lot of issues that we need to look. So I'm against the big announcement, we will degrowth. We really, you know, you really need to be smart on these things and understand what is happening, when it's happening, how it's happening, and then play with that to make sure that everybody gets value out of the community. So that was the opportunity that was the clue to bring the students in, right? So students, colleagues, any benefits from your communities, anything you'd like to talk about your community? What are you here to learn? What are you here to discuss? You've got all these people here to help. No, you're in listening mode. Okay, that's fine. If you're in a listening mode, we'll listen to the next presentations and we'll be in class tomorrow with the master students. And then we'll take it from there. Any questions? Anything? Normally at this stage, someone jumps in to say, yes, I've got a real question. No? Okay, that's right. So who is the next person in our list? Let's go to India. Let's go to Madhuri. Namaste, Madhuri.
Director, Department of Tourism Administration, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar National University, Aurangabad, India. I wish all the participants and resource persons present here for this webinar a very happy World Tourism Day 2023. I also thank Professor Dr. Dimitris Bouhalis for inviting me for this important webinar, in which I'm going to give my perspectives about India tourism. Let me share this PPT first. Yeah, so the theme of today's webinar is making tourism for a better world towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030. Before starting this, I would like to give a brief introduction about the World Heritage Sites in India. This is, as our slogan says, incredible India. Most of you might have visited this important sites, that is Taj Mahal or Khajuraho Caves or Ellora Caves, and very important one, that is Nalanda University, which is one of the ancient universities of India. So altogether, we are having 42 World Heritage Sites, out of which 34 are cultural, 7 are natural, and 1 is a mixed type. Key initiatives undertaken by the government of India for SDGs. Number 1 is the Prashad scheme, that is National Mission on Pilgrimage, Regeneration and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation Drive. This serves a very important SDG, that is no poverty. Here, the pilgrimage tourism, we are trying to position it as a major engine for direct and multiplier effect of economic growth and, of course, the employment generation. And it is following community-based approach to tourism to reduce the poverty around the pilgrimage sites. The second very important one, and it is this is the World Heritage Site where I reside, that is Ajanta Caves. Here we have started and doing research on various aspects of health benefits and the intangible aspects of heritage sites, which needs to be served as reimagining its relevance in the contemporary world. So we are working and trying hard how the heritage sites can be performed for health benefits. So we have started here as Ajanta Caves depict Buddhist sites. We have Buddhist wellness tourism over here, where the tourists, they come and do meditation, they learn about centers of energies and different mudras of Buddha and Bodhisattvas, which are very, very beneficial for the health. It was in 2018, some yoginis from Netherlands, they had come to our place and they had traveled to Ajanta only for to study the Buddhist meditation and have health benefits. So this is a very different kind of tourism which we are trying to promote in India through the heritage sites. This is again when we talk about the tourism and green investments, which is the United Nations theme this year. It is basically the investment on infrastructure for having for accelerating the green transformation. And here in Ajanta Caves, you can see these eco-friendly buses and a tea point, which is like 3 kilometers away from the site, and a visitor orientation center. You can also see the conservation aspects, which serves the sustainable cities and communities SDGs. Yeah, we are also having a scheme which is known as Adopt a Heritage Scheme, which comes under the Partnership for the Goals SDGs, and it is for sustainable investment model under the corporate social responsibility, where the private partners, they can adopt a heritage for 5 years and take care of that particular heritage site. As you can see that, of course, it is in consultation with the Archaeological Survey of India. And you can see this Red Fort in Delhi, it has now been adopted by the Dalmia Group for 50 million rupees for a period of 5 years. The other important thing which we are yet to start is that the schools and colleges, the colleges and universities are encouraged to adopt a destination. It is in a destination itself. It could be a rural tourism area or a farm tourism or a heritage site. So this also provides us a very important SDG, that is partnership for the goals. We in fact ourselves are thinking of adopting a destination around our university for the same. Then we have nature-based tourism or ecotourism activities, where there are a lot of case studies. This is one of the case studies of the Tampara Lake, which is having an alternate source income generated for the local people over there who are involved in fishing and animal husbandry. Till now, 25 people have been working as receptionists, guards, housekeeping, and cleaning. This again is a very important SDG, that is decent work and economic growth. We have also niche tourism products in India, like we are promoting MICE tourism, and we have the tagline of it is Meet in India. And we are taking all the opportunities to have the meetings around the World Heritage Sites, around the heritage sites as well, in India, to promote India as a tourism destination. We also have been promoting the wellness and medical tourism, which is a very booming industry right now in India. And also Ministry has identified adventure tourism as a niche product, which can be positioned as a 365-day destination. This also has these two SDGs in it, that is sustainable cities and communities and good health and well-being. We are also promoting film tourism because India is a country of filmmaking, and we are identifying locations which could be promoted to films, of course in consultation with the Forest and Wildlife, Art and Culture, Heritage and Archaeological Department. This has given employment to many people around. Many people around, and it is nothing but having a decent work and economic growth. And of course, when we are talking about cities like Mumbai, so it is the sustainable cities and communities are developed because of film tourism. Next, as you all know, India is a destination for wedding, and we are having huge weddings over here. We call it big fat weddings. So one of the SDGs, like again, giving employment to the local community and infrastructure development. This SDG is very important, where a lot of employment generation is created, and it is a very good way for us to show our culture to the world. Next is wildlife tourism. Like there are so many case studies. This is one of the case study of the Panna Tiger Reserve, in which under the Swadesh Darshan, the Ministry of Tourism have facilitated an infrastructure makeover by creating a buffer zone, then compound walks, parking area, forest walks. Some machans are created, information centers, cafeterias, and yes, everything is taken care by the local people. So there is a huge employment generation. And of course, taking care of the responsible consumption and production. We are taking steps towards sustainable tourism by installing the solar street lights, and solid waste management is taken care of. Next is, again, it is decent work and economic growth, sustainable development goal. This is very important, and we are into starting a fabric tours or weaving centers where the tourists can come, admire, also have some creative activities over there, along with the locals, try to learn how the weaving is done and also buy the products. So this is again a very important SDG which we have initiated. Then moreover, like I told you about Creative Cities Network, our own Mumbai has been designated as a creative city for film. Srinagar, it is for arts and crafts. Hyderabad is for gastronomy, and Jaipur, it is for crafts. And Varanasi, it is for music. So this is nothing but, sustainable cities and communities. Here, the cities and communities are coming together and developing policies for making creative tourism networks to be a successful one. Next, we are one of the important SDGs which I support a lot, that is gender equality. Here, women-centric economy in promoting intangible heritage in rural and other tourism activities. And of course, infrastructure is very important. We are promoting women a lot in the communication of tourism marketing, that is the brochures, maybe having actually them over there at the tourist sites and making them the center. Then we are also promoting volunteer rural tourism, that is where the foreigners, the tourists are coming to our villages and helping the tourists out in various activities. It could be water harvesting, it could be use of non-renewable energies, it could be fishing or teaching them soft skills, basic English or foreign language, all these things. So this is also right, having this sustainable development goals of reduced inequalities. We also have some infrastructure, important infrastructure makeover at Eden Beach, which is in Pondicherry. Here again, under the Swadesh Darshan, the Ministry of Tourism has felicitated this particular beach with infrastructure, which is very, very sustainable one. We also have a lot of programs and collaborations with Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Archaeological Survey of India, State Archaeology, Airports Authority of India. And we are towards this very important goal, that is partnerships. And of course, we are talking about Swachh Bharat, Swachh Pariyatn, that is Clean India, Clean Tourism campaign to facilitate the clean water and sanitation, sustainable development goal. Yeah, with this, I would like to thank all the participants for patient listening. Although it was just for 5 minutes, I could just give some of the case studies. So thank you so much for having me.
That's fantastic. And Dr. Madhuri has done a professor, actually. I was there 2 weeks ago when she was promoted. She has done a very good job looking into a whole range of different resources in India. India is incredible. For those of you who come from India, it's absolutely incredible. And we need to talk about what you need to take back. And I met your Minister of Finance when I was at the conference there, and we had a huge conversation about how tourism is going to be the locomotive of tourism of the economy in India, because there's so much stuff that can be done and the resources are phenomenal. So we're going away from India and we are going to Spain to listen to Professor Eduardo Parra Lopez at the La Laguna University in Spain, and then hopefully we'll have, I'm just keeping the 2 live sessions for Vanessa, and I'm keeping her right at the end because I know how entertaining speaker she is, and then we'll have Sandra before we leave. So let's hear from Eduardo. When we have, and because obviously, Spain is such a big capital of tourism and has got awfully a lot of engagement in a whole range of different things. So, hola, Eduardo.
I lost myself.
You lost Eduardo?
It's okay.
It's on a video, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of Tourism at the University of La Laguna, Faculty of Business and I want to talk about the tourism today because it's the day of tourism around all of the land. So I want to tell about the contribution of tourism in the Canaries. The first thing that I want to say that in the Canary Islands, tourism is one of the main sources of incomes and economic development in the region, bringing a wide variety of benefits ranging from economic to social and cultural. First, tourism in the Canary Islands generates a significant amount of employment. The tourism industry is one of the largest employers in the region, offering both direct and indirect job opportunities. This benefits thousands of people who find employment in hotel, restaurants, and others related businesses. In addition, the tourism sector also drives job creation in complementary sectors such as agricultural, fishing, and handicraft. And significant benefit is the economic impact of tourism has on the region. Tourists visiting the Canary Islands spend money on accommodation, food, transportation, recreational activities, which generate an inflow of foreign currency and contributes to local economic growth. This has played into investment in infrastructure, improvement of public services, and development of corridors of community interest. Tourism in the Canary Islands also has a positive impact on the environment. The region has a great diversity of natural landscape and unique ecosystem, which are protected and conserved thanks to tourism awareness. Many visitors are attracted by the natural beauty of the island, which encourages the conservation of natural resources and the adoption of sustainable practices by local entrepreneurs and residents. Tourism in the Canary Islands also play an important role in the promotion and preservation of the local culture. Tourism have the opportunity to learn about and enjoy Canary Island gastronomy, tradition, music, and handicraft, which contribute to keeping this cultural expression alive. In addition, the cultural exchange between visitors and local residents enrich the cultural diversity of the region. But the question is, how important is tourism in the Canary Islands? Tourism play a fundamental role in the economy of the Canary Islands, bringing a wealth of economics, social, and cultural benefits. First of all, tourism is one of the main sources of income in the region, generating direct and indirect employment in different sectors such as hotel, transportation, commerce, and among others. This contributes significantly to reducing unemployment and improving the quality of the life of island and inhabitants. In addition, tourism in the Canary Islands contributes to economic growth and infrastructure development as tourism demand drives the construction of hotels, restaurants, shopping centers, and other services that meet the needs of visitors. This development also benefits the local population as a new job are created and entrepreneurship is encouraged. Another important aspect is the social and cultural impact of tourism in the Canary Islands. The arrival of tourists of different nationalities and cultures encourage diversity and promote cultural exchange. Canary Islanders have the opportunity to learn about the other's culture, languages, and tradition, which foster tolerance and respect for others. Tourism also contributes to the conversation and preservation of the island national and cultural heritage. Finally, tourism in the Canary Islands also has a positive impact on the promotion and the dissemination of the Canarian culture at the international level. Visitors have the opportunity to learn about and enjoy the gastronomy, music, folklore, and tradition of the island, which could contribute to the promotion of the Canary Island cultural identity. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the Canaries.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Eduardo. Eduardo is doing a fantastic job in the Canary Islands and a lot of work in Latin American countries all over the world. So I think we are done with the videos, and I think it's about time to go to Mauritius and look and talk to a very nice lady called Vanessa, who is the Vice President of the International Tourism Studies Association, and she's based in Mauritius. Vanessa, you're there? She was there early on.
She was there, but she's not here.
Aha. She probably went for a coffee somewhere in the place. Can I see if Vanessa is there? Okay, we seem to have lost Vanessa. She was there all the way.
Yeah.
And we are waiting for Sandra to join us as well. So in the meanwhile, I'll call Tim and Adam and Duncan to entertain us with some questions and some. How would you like to degrow the tourism of Wales? Duncan said early on. So I'd like Tim to kind of have a go on this.
Maybe we can ask the online participants also if they have anything to want to discuss.
Yeah, we may have some online participants. Oh, I can see Emmanuel in Ghana. Can you bring Emmanuel up, please, for a minute?
Yeah.
Let's see what Emmanuel is doing in Ghana. Okay, there's a power cut in Mauritius. That's why Vanessa is not online. Let's bring Emmanuel for a minute. Emmanuel, how are you? Lovely to see you.
Prof, very nice to see you again.
Are you doing well?
Yes, I am. I'm doing well.
Thank you for popping by. Tell us a little bit about tourism in Ghana and how it's happening these days.
Oh, okay. Tourism in Ghana has been growing well, quite well, but it made a remarkable feat in 2019 with a particular program known as the Year of Return. Unfortunately, most of us are talking about tourism degrowth, but we are looking forward to growing tourism much more, of course, in a sustainable way. So I think there is this kind of divide based on where you are and where you find yourself. It's maybe a different story. Then also with what was presented when I joined about the SDGs, taking them one by one in India, I think it's very important for us to look at it with a systematic approach or a holistic kind of thing, because over the world, you can see that tourism is being managed in different ways. So we may need some sort of structure in governance, and also we may have to look at the consumption and production of tourism, where the issue of sustainability is actually supposed to be measured at the individual level, because you can put in every kind of sustainable measures at a government level or at the governance level. But if the consumption is an issue where the people are not sustainable, it becomes a problem. I think that's where tourism degrowth has to kick in. So depending on how things go in various parts of the world, we may have a different approach for each area or each region. So for us here, we are trying to find out ways to actually grow tourism much faster. But in places like, as you said, the capital of tourism in the world, in Spain, they may be looking at trying to degrowth it. And also in some parts of Asia, they are looking at using the kind of slow tourism to manage the tourism activities. So it's a bit dicey, but tourism still needs to grow in a sustainable way. And with this year's World Tourism Day theme, I think it's really very good and works for someone like me. And currently I'm trying to work on issues on sustainable consumption, and also looking at some of the SDGs specifically, equality, the issue of decent work, and some other issues pertaining to sustainable city building, more like that. So in Ghana, it's good, I must say. And I'm very happy to pop in to hear very interesting presentation going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello to everybody.
I can see Rosanna here and I can see Desmond here. If any of you can come forward, Desmond, can you come forward? Desmond is in Germany. He's listening with his students. And it's probably too late for Rosanna in Taiwan. And I can see some other colleagues. Desmond, you're there. Would you like to say a few words to our audience and celebrate World Tourism Day with us?
Wow, I've got so many things to say. I don't really know how to start. We're just discussing here. We couldn't hear all your presentations really well. So we would pause and then we'll discuss some of what's talked about. I think it's really, really nice. I'm going back to what Emmanuel said before. The balance of what production and the balance of production and consumption, but in an individual way is something that's easier said than done. And I like that challenge of actually doing that. If you look at World Tourism Day as in Riyadh right now, we're really talking about production processes. You're talking about green investments. And so I think it's very important to really try to understand that disjunct between what is production and what's really consumption, and to try to find ways to put that together. It's not an easy project. And this morning, you heard already the Secretary General speaking in the Ministry of Tourism in Riyadh. You actually see the perspective where it's going with this. And we actually drew some charts to talk about this. What are these new initiatives and like all these things? What are the things we talked about here? I cannot quite see what I wrote. Connectivities. Yeah. What's the meaning of connectivities? And one of the things that Ministry of Tourism said was direct flights. Would direct flights actually contribute towards a connectivity of the world? I mean, plus, of course, the technology and the digitalization, but direct flights really got us thinking here, What does that really mean? Is it more sustainable to be able to fly from London to Mauritius in a direct flight, minus all the stopovers? And really, the bigger issue here, again, is going back to a cultural understanding of what sustainability really means across the board. What is really consumption? And I think that the challenge for World Tourism Day is to actually try to streamline some of these cultural perspectives on how we understand the message in different ways. And I think this is a challenge, but also I think it's something really exciting for tourism. And that's why we actually have a job, we have to discuss some of these issues. And I really am quite hopeful. I'm also going back to what Tim said earlier on. I'm really always critical and pessimistic, but I think today is a day where we really have to rethink and also say, wait a minute, tourism is indeed positive, is creating wonderful experiences, and we need to find that compromise, and hopefully starting from today. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, Desmond. And it's interesting that you touch on flights, because if you ask Emmanuel, and especially Africa is suffering from no flights. If you're going to go between two neighboring countries, quite often you need to go up to Paris and come out again, because of the lack of the connectivity in the African continent. And what you find in Europe is that the minute you start being able to fly from Frankfurt directly to Mallorca, you're going, and the game is changed. And now all of a sudden you don't need the tour operator to go, because you've got a direct flight and you can go off season. And if you sustain it throughout the year, you get a much better distribution of tourism across the different years. And then you are not talking about the growth or anything like that, because it's not necessarily a peak, and you manage a peak and you've got the connectivity. So connectivity is really, really important. And I think flights and I've been suffering. I've done about 8 flights, to come to India where we met. I had to get 3 flights, and coming back it was 2 flights. And so you really need to look into the whole thing in a very integrated way and manage everything together, especially if you're trying to be sustainable.
And Demetrius, don't forget your amazing airport experience.
Yes, yes. I'll share that with my Indian students tomorrow, because some of the things that we had there. Okay, I can see Rosanna on the frame, so let's bring Rosanna from coaching in Taiwan right now. Rosanna, what do you see tourism in Taiwan doing? And also you are from Hong Kong as well, so you can say a few words from both places. You're muted. We cannot hear anything. You're muted.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I didn't plan to say anything. So honestly, I good to see a lot of people here to celebrating the Tourism Day. Actually, in Taiwan, we didn't have any celebrations here, so I'm so glad that at least I have some participation throughout this event. Basically, if you want me to share something about Taiwan tourism, from my observation, basically, after COVID-19, Taiwanese people are still very cautious about COVID. So I think Demetrius also have similar experience. When you come to Taiwan, you can see more than half of the people still on the mask. They are still quite worried about infection. So I can also see in my city, I live in Kaohsiung, in the southern part of Taiwan. And the airport schedule, basically what I see, the airport is quite quiet, much quiet than before. So I didn't see there are a lot of flights flying out from Kaohsiung. Maybe, of course, the southern part of Taiwan is much more leisure than the capital city in Taipei. But I can see during COVID-19 for the past 3 years, people really changed their behavior. They didn't see travel is as important as before. So I can see less flying out from my city, and I can see if I need to fly somewhere else, I need to make transit rather than I have direct flight in before. So, and also another way around, a lot of my friends working in hotels, they all keep telling me that, okay, they cannot find any staff member. It's really difficult to hire people. So it's also make the industry very difficult to have good service provided to the tourists, and they also have a lot of challenges after COVID-19. So I think this is the time with the Tourism Day, we look forward to bring out a lot of awareness, let people understand what the industry is now having some difficulties, and look forward some more positive things happen, especially in Asia. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you're very welcome to join us and everything. We're still waiting for Vanessa to reconnect because of the power cut in Mauritius. This is crisis management as it happens and happens on everything. And we wait for Sandra to come back from the meeting and to help us conclude this seminar. Any questions, any issues, anything you'd like to say after having heard all that? You need to be able to help us here. How's Brazil doing, Mariana? Would Brazil need some more tourism to drive economic recovery?
We suffered a lot during COVID, especially the airlines, and especially the local airlines like Azul and Orange, where it's not really dead. Well, Gold and Azul like the shares that actually were really bad, and now they are recovering. Yeah.
Good. I saw, yeah, go on. Amanda.
Yeah. Thank you. So I watched the movie last night. It's about a very popular movie. So after that, it's a very interesting news popped up on the internet. It's about hi everyone, to ask about the algorithm, because it started from a news about the different comments from the video, for example. Maybe we can see the different comment from the tourism destination from the both sides, female and male. So I would say that algorithm is, because I'm not in this part of expert research, but I want to ask you, because you're from this industry, especially in a smart tourism. Do you think there will be impact for the future tourism? For example, the targeting of customer specifically according to the algorithm and based on their travel behavior, their habits, and their comments. And if we, well, I want to say if we saw the different, if we can find a different comment based on gender, I can't imagine how it will happen in the future for tourism market, and especially related to the what is called the global goals for the inequality, gender inequality. So could it be a better way to boost the in a tourism market, or it could bring a more sad effect like they mentioned in the Barbie movie?
Tourism has always been about women. It's all about Barbie. How do you satisfy Barbie? And there are a lot of Kens in the world of tourism. What is your Ken doing? Yeah? Have you seen the movie? Okay. What is your Ken movie doing? And what we, over the years, what you realize is that tourism is particularly being set up in a way to satisfy women. Because women are the prime decision makers for tourism activity. If you think about that, and boy, if you've got any boys, you never select places. You never make decisions. Because quite often you'll regret for the rest of your life. You remember you took me to this place and that place was not very good, and you'll be suffering non-stop. So the main decision makers, and what you call about different markets, it's what we call segmentation, right? Different places around the world, they are set up for different segments, and there are different kind of types of products that they are supporting different segments. But primarily, tourism on a global scale has been set up to satisfy women. And men are Kens of this world.
I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Thank you. The minute that you understand this, you've done half of your work in tourism. Because it's really, and you see that everywhere. You see that everywhere around the world. And it's really, really important. And quite often, sometimes some destinations are putting, when I was working in Egypt, the Egyptian campaign was a very beautiful lady sitting in a sandbed in front of some archaeological kind of sites. And I said, are you crazy? Because that's the worst way of actually trying to sell tourism. But you're right, we need to be much more tuned into the different needs of different segments and how we engage with this, with the customers, but also what impact would that have back to the local communities. So when you're going around, do you consume local products, or do you consume products from different places? I just came back from Taiwan, and we spent quite a lot of time consuming some imported drinks. And I said, look. And then when I went to this place, they're doing a very nice beer that's called the 7 Stars. And it's a 7 Stars beer in Taiwan, that they're doing it because this place in the Sun and Moon Lake, it's a very well-known place to see the stars. And they're going dark skies tourism. And they've produced the beer that's called the 7 Stars beer. It's an excellent beer. And it's also very connected with the community. I think if you have the beer, then you see 14 stars or more. But that's another matter. And that is something that we need to kind of engage in different communities. What is going on there? Someone is probably trying to connect with me and say, probably Vanessa, because I'm waiting for Vanessa. Let me see what the message is. Okay. So, team, Adam, come along and help us here in terms of what we're saying until Vanessa. So Vanessa cannot come forward because it is not loading, and we're still waiting for Sandra. Ways or economics.
What a choice. What a choice. One of the big debates in Wales at the moment is the imposition of a tourist tax. So there's been much discussion of whether we should levy a tax on tourists and what should we that tax take for. Very controversial, similar discussions in Scotland. Demetrius, how do you feel about tourist tax in principle?
Well, if it's fair and square, and if it fills its purposes, there's a big debate because consumers do not want to pay, and I don't want to pay tourism tax when I'm going in. But if it's included on the price of the room, then I don't mind. I was in Nice recently in France, and as I was checking out, they say £3, €3 tax on the accommodation, which I didn't mind paying, but I would have preferred that to be in the room rate. So I was done with it out of the room rate. Why do you surprise me at the very last minute? That's something I didn't like. But I understand that the tourists have got to pay something for the resources they consume. And if you consume public goods, that's only fair that you pay for the restoration, the development of these goods. So that's something that we need to see, but it needs to be organized in a nice way. I would have preferred to pay within my, I paid £80, I don't know, for a room per night. If I was paying 83, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. But right at the end, as you're going to the airport, if someone says, and here is another 30 euros bill, I didn't really like that.
Begs the question of what would have happened if you refused to pay the tax. You have to stay behind, maybe.
I don't know. They call the police for €3, but that is not the point. The point is that you need to make first. You need to have no surprises in tourism, and if you have surprises, then they need to be positive surprises.
Yeah.
What really is going against is when bad things happen which you do not expect. If you expect them, you prepare for it psychologically, economically. You're in a position to actually deal with these things. But if you don't, then you're surprised. You're dealing with something that you didn't want to deal, and that doesn't give you a good feeling. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell everybody in advance. And if you have a tax, tell everybody on check-in, tell everybody on arrival, on before arriving, that okay, Indonesia now or France now is going to do this. That's fine. The worst thing was in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, they asked me to pay. I was staying in a very nice hotel. The room was costing $700 per night. And then they asked me to pay a resort fee of $30 per night. And I said, what's a resort fee? And the resort fee apparently is to using the swimming pools. Now, the problem was 12 degrees outside, and I was not going to have to use the swimming pools. Then they told me that they were trying to do the Wi-Fi, and I said, for goodness sake, if I'm paying $700 for a room, you should be able to provide the Wi-Fi, right? So it was all of those things that the bad surprises at the last minute. That's the bit I don't like. Yeah. So we've got
additional to that, a lot around Europe, a lot of places that impose taxes, they don't tell you about it in advance. They ask you for it when you check out for your entire trip stay, but also they tend to ask for it in cash only.
Yeah, this happened in India. This is what
when you're heading to the airport, you tend to spend all your cash.
Yeah.
And it's a surprise that we've got no cash for this.
This is what was happening in India. First of all, check out the security in India. I've never been served so much. They took an X-ray and a magnetic thing. It was incredible. And the second thing, that this is what Edmund was referring to earlier on, is that he had to pay extra for luggage or whatever, but they would only take cars. And it was this very stressful situation of trying to get into your flight, but you only had to have rupees that he just spent all the rest of it. So I think we've got Vanessa send us a video that we can play, and then hopefully Sandra will be on us as well. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm Dr. Vanessa, a citizen of Mauritius, working as a professor in tourism management in India. So today we are celebrating the World Tourism Day. First thing first, a salute to our Captain Dimitrios One is for connecting so many countries on this special day. We are separated by distance, but connected by love. Love for our profession, which is tourism. Dear friends, World Tourism Day is celebrated each year in September. And after 43 years, what we have to say about tourism? What are the transformation that we are witnessing? And what are the wonderful things happening through tourism? To find the answer, let me take you on a journey to two incredible tourism destinations, Mauritius and India. Mauritius, because I'm a citizen of Mauritius, India, because I work in India. So today, as we celebrate the magic of tourism, let us reflect on the remarkable impacts tourism has had on these two countries that are blessed with diverse and beautiful landscape, rich culture and heritage. For Mauritius, the Dodo Island of the Indian Ocean, tourism is one of the fastest growing socio-economic sectors that is still fueling economic growth and creating jobs and business opportunities. In 2022, the tourism industry contribution to employment was 75%, according to WTC. This is significant, as the island has a population of only 1.2 million people. But beyond the numbers, it is the human stories that will explain the wonderful thing of the Mauritian tourism industry. One shining example would be Rajesh, a tourism entrepreneur and a local artisan whose family has been crafting traditional Sega music instruments for generations. Tourism not only preserved his family's heritage, but also provided a global stage for his creations. And there are around 25,000 artisans like Rajesh in Mauritius. Likewise, the Sega dance and the Creole Festival are alive through tourism. The new generation who was always interested in settling down overseas is now coming back to Mauritius to work in the tourism sector in order to revive the Mauritian tourism culture. Mauritius knows that tourism is the industry of the future, and we will keep boosting our seas, turn and stand. After all, Maurice, c'est un plaisir. It's our slogan. Animals. Now let's hop over to India to see what are the wonderful things happening there. India is the only place where tourism industry is considered as sacred and the guest is treated as God. Atithi Devo Bhava is a very meaningful line in tourism. Means that tourism is a sacred industry and tourists are to be welcomed as God. This is also witnessed in Martin Luther King testimonial. To other countries, I may go as a tourist, but to India, I come as a pilgrim. This is what he says. So you can see how sacred is tourism for India. So according to WTC, India's tourism industry contribution to its economy was estimated at 16.5 trillion in 2023 Indian rupees, and $1 is approximately 84 Indian rupees. But the real magic lies in the tales of travelers. India is one of the oldest civilizations in the world, and tourism is one of the major reasons for which India is well known. To cite an example, the country saw a revolution in travel tours, and tribes are now trained to interact with tourists and work in tourism. In earlier times, travel people were not too recognized. They faced oppression, lack of opportunities, and social exclusion. Now, through tourism, travel people have gained important economic positions in India. Tourism has created financial opportunities for them. As you can see by now, tourism is not only a source of income in India, but also a way of learning, sharing, and connecting with different cultures and environments. Tourism is bringing people together, fostering cross-cultural friendships and understanding. It is bridging gaps, transcending borders, and creating lifelong memories while fostering conservation efforts. As we celebrate World Tourism Day, let's remember that tourism is not just about ticking destinations off your bucket list. It's about the extraordinary connection, the transformation and revelations that happen along the way. It's about driving the world economy while respecting the speed limit of the economy, the society, and the environment. So whether you are exploring a remote island or a big country, you are contributing to tourism. On this remarkable occasion, let's celebrate the power of tourism, a force that transcends borders, connects cultures, and uplifts economies. Cheers to the wanderers, the explorers, and the dreamers who spend in tourism. Wishing you all a blissful and peaceful World Tourism Day 2023. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much to Vanessa and bringing us to Mauritius and then bringing us to India and exploring all the beautiful things that the tourism is doing, more than economics, much more. And it's a great pleasure to welcome Sandra Carvalho. Sandra is a very good friend for many, many years. She's director of research in the World Tourism Organization and the intelligence. I never remember the exact title, Sandra. And we were about to start with the World Tourism Day with Sandra, but I'm glad that actually we're concluding it, because Sandra is probably one of the most knowledgeable person, or if the most knowledgeable person in the world, with all the fantastic work that she's doing on the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you for being with us. I know it's late for you. Please share your views with us and how tourism is benefiting cultures and economies and people around and communities around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Dimitris, for having me. Good to see all of you in the call and also in the auditorium. Probably some very late at night, others very early in wherever you are in the world. Happy World Tourism Day. As it was mentioned before, this is a day that celebrates the entry of the status of UNWTO back in 1980. So I always say we're a young sector, but we're a sector with a lot of impact. And I think this is very much what World Tourism Day is about, is us recalling the impact that tourism as a sector has. I always like to remember that we went through, we all know, one of the biggest crises around the world. But I always like to quote that when the world stopped, the number of tourists traveling in 2020 was the same as 30 years ago. So you can imagine what obviously that meant to all your countries and communities. We're starting to see a very strong rebound. The latest data by UNWTO, for those who follow our UNWTO Tourism Barometer, actually show that we've recovered more than 80% of what we had lost pre-pandemic. Different regions with different speeds, naturally. But more important than that is, I think, the reason that the topic of this year's World Tourism Day is green investment. And it's beyond just the environmental component, and it's beyond just investment. It's really how do we make sure that we continue to be a positive driver in the economies and in our societies, while we address a lot of the externalities that the sector have. And I'm sure that you all work on those. And one of the challenges that it's growing more and more is first to be able to measure that impact. And as you know, UNWTO is working on several tools, including a new framework statistically to measure the impact of tourism in the 3 areas of sustainability, but also to actually have policies that address those challenges. We all know that growth for growth will not take us anywhere, but we also need to understand, and I think as working in the sector and you in academia, creating knowledge, sharing knowledge, and creating the talent of today and tomorrow, is also to understand that as an economic sector, those externalities are bigger and bigger as we grow. And sometimes defending our sector is even challenging because it becomes more and more targeted. And I think we need to be able to show that impact and to show that the policies are addressing that impact. I think it's our responsibility as knowledge creators to create the information that can be used to communicate and to have the adequate policies. And to that end, I really want to thank Dimitris for the great work he does and all of you. And I would like to close with a note as well, because I always feel that we put a lot of pressures on communities and governments and companies, but we forget ourselves, and we are all tourists. And I think there's also a long way to go for bigger understanding of consumers and bigger transformation of us as consumers of the tourism sector. So Dimitris, with that, I leave you and thank you so much. It's great to see you all. And again, a very happy World Tourism Day.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I really appreciate your contribution and all the great things that you are doing from the World Tourism Organization, coordinating the world and so many governments around to actually make tourism a catalyst for good change. Fantastic that you're with us. I know it's late in Madrid, and I've been following what's happening in Saudi Arabia with the celebration you have with the Secretary General and everybody else. So I'm very, very grateful for you to spending the time. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. So we are concluding here, and I think that is a wonderful opportunity to hear Sandra as the last contributor, because Sandra is really one of the most knowledgeable people in tourism around the world. She's been driving a whole range of initiatives in the World Tourism Organization for many, many, many years, and she's been behind the success of many people. But she's normally very quiet. You don't hear about Sandra, but she's the real person who is doing an awful lot of work at the background. Thank you very much. Please be in my class promptly tomorrow, and we'll take from there. Team and Adam.
Just to say, I've been awake since 5 o'clock this morning, and I've never felt so energized by all the good news we've heard and the examples from around the world. I just didn't want the occasion to pass without saying thank you to Professor Captain Bahalis, without whom this wouldn't be possible. There's many contacts and connections from around the world have come together today to give us a fantastic celebratory event for World Tourism Day. Thank you to all our contributors online and in the room. It's much appreciated the time you've taken. As I said, there's lots we can take away from today. Let's keep the conversation going and be back next year for WTD 24, where we'll do it all over again. Thank you, Dimitris.
Thank you, guys, and thank you to Siva as well for driving driving the plane today. Without his support, it wouldn't be possible. And we'll have the opportunity to discuss about these things, and the answers are on the books. That's why we publish them. Our role is to publish them, get them done, and your role is to buy them. Thank you very much on this profound note. Have a good evening and see you soon. And goodbye to our guests online, and hope to see you soon from somewhere very close. Okay, bye-bye.